The deception. The Galactic Assembly Chamber hummed with the voices of 100 different species as Ambassador Krex of the Vraxian Empire addressed the Council. His scaled skin glistened under the chamber's bright lights as he gestured with long, clawed fingers toward the holographic display. "We have discovered another developing world in Sector 37, Krex announced, his translator converting his hissing speech into the standard galactic tongue. "A planet called Earth. Classification: juvenile. They've only recently achieved rudimentary space travel and have established a primitive orbital station. Initial scans show abundant resources and a population of nearly 8 billion. The Assembly representatives leaned forward, interest peaked at the mention of resources. In the shadows of the observation gallery, a human woman watched silently, her face betraying no emotion as the aliens discussed her homeworld. Commander Elena Rice of Earth's Secret Space Command had infiltrated the Assembly 6 months ago. Her implants and cosmetic modifications made her appear as a minor Centaurian diplomat, a species similar enough to humans that the disguise worked. She recorded everything as Ambassador Krex continued. "As per Assembly protocols, we propose sending a guidance fleet to initiate contact and begin the resource-sharing agreements," Krex said, using the euphemism that everyone understood meant resource extraction. "The natives appear technologically primitive, but physically robust. They could provide excellent labor for our mining operations." Elena's jaw tightened, but she maintained her composure. This was exactly what Earth had feared when they detected the first alien transmissions 15 years ago. Back then, humanity had just established its first permanent moon base and was celebrating what they believed was their greatest achievement in space exploration. That changed when the Deep Space Listening Post on the far side of the moon picked up encrypted communications between alien vessels. After years of decoding, Earth learned about the Galactic Assembly and their treatment of juvenile worlds, how they would appear as benevolent advanced civilizations offering guidance, while systematically stripping planets of their resources and reducing populations to servitude. Earth's governments made a fateful decision: to hide their true technological capabilities while accelerating their secret space program. On the surface, Earth maintained the appearance of a slowly developing civilization with basic rockets and satellites. Meanwhile, beneath the lunar surface and in hidden facilities throughout the solar system, humanity built a fleet unlike anything the Assembly would expect from a juvenile world. Commander Elena Rice slipped away from the Assembly chamber and made her way to her ship docked in the diplomatic sector. The vessel appeared as a standard Centaurian scout ship from the outside, but inside was Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, the ESS Phantom. As the airlock sealed behind her, Elena removed her disguise and ran her fingers through her short black hair. "Computer, secure transmission to command," she ordered, sitting at the control console. The view screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Chen in the Lunar Command Center deep beneath the moon's surface. "Report, Commander," the Admiral said without preamble. "They've officially classified us as a juvenile world," Elena said. "The Vraxians are taking point on this one. They're sending a guidance fleet," their words, not mine, "to make first contact. Initial analysis suggests they've completely bought our deception. They believe we have primitive chemical rockets and a single small space station." Admiral Chen nodded, a grim smile crossing his face. "And their intentions? Resource extraction, primarily. They specifically mentioned our mineral wealth and potential for labor. Standard Assembly playbook from what we've gathered." Timeline. "They're dispatching a fleet in 3 days. Estimated arrival at Earth in 2 weeks. The Admiral was quiet for a moment, thinking. "This is what we've been preparing for. Return to Earth immediately. We'll initiate Operation Reveal." Elena nodded. "There's one more thing, Admiral. The Vraxians. They're the military backbone of the Assembly. But they're not the leadership. If we want to make a statement that resonates across the Assembly, we need to target the right audience." "Explain." Ambassador Krex mentioned that High Chancellor Vidas will be accompanying the fleet. He's the highest-ranking assembly official to ever visit a newly discovered world. They're treating this as a major opportunity. Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed. They must view Earth as particularly valuable. This changes things. We'll need to adjust our plans. I recommend we let them land, Elena said. Let them think they have the upper hand. Let them reveal their true intentions before we show ours. A dangerous game, Commander. With respect, sir, we need to expose them for what they are. Not just to ourselves, but to the galaxy. The Admiral considered this for a moment before nodding. Very well. Get back to Earth. We'll have 2 weeks to finalize preparations. As the Phantom disengaged from the assembly station, Elena guided it carefully through the bustling space traffic. Once clear of the main shipping lanes, she engaged the stealth systems and activated the quantum drive, technology that the assembly believed was centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. The stars blurred around her as the ship accelerated to speeds the assembly would find impossible for a juvenile civilization. Elena smiled grimly. The Vraxians and the assembly were in for quite a surprise. On Earth, preparations for the aliens' arrival proceeded with careful precision. To the outside observer, it appeared that humanity was excitedly preparing for its first contact with alien life. News media around the world broadcast images of a landing site being constructed outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Scientists and diplomats gave interviews expressing wonder and hope about meeting advanced civilizations. It was all theater. 2 days before the alien fleet was due to arrive, Elena's ship slipped back into Earth orbit, cloaked from all conventional detection systems. She docked at Artemis Station, the secret military facility hidden in lunar orbit, positioned always to remain undetectable from Earth. The station hummed with activity as personnel moved with purpose through the corridors. Elena made her way to the command center where Admiral Chen waited with the Joint Chiefs and several world leaders connected via secure holographic links. "Welcome back, Commander," the Admiral said. "Your intel has been invaluable. The Vraxian fleet entered the solar system 6 hours ago. They're proceeding exactly as expected, following the course of a standard diplomatic approach to a non-spacefaring world." Elena looked at the tactical display showing the positions of the alien vessels, 5 large ships led by a massive flagship nearly a kilometer in length. "They're maintaining communication protocols for primitives," she observed. "Simple radio transmissions, basic language patterns. They're following their standard first contact playbook," said General Santos of the South American Alliance, "just as our intelligence suggested they would." The president of the North American Union spoke up from her holographic display. "Is everyone prepared for their roles in this charade? Once we commit, there's no turning back." Around the table, heads nodded solemnly. For 15 years, Earth had hidden its true capabilities, building in secret while maintaining the facade of a world just taking its first tentative steps into space. Now they were about to reveal the truth, but timing would be crucial. "Commander Reyes," Admiral Chen said, "given your experience with the Assembly and the Vraxians, we're assigning you to lead the operation. The Phantom has been retrofitted with our latest weapon systems. You'll take a position shadowing the Vraxian flagship." Elena nodded. "When do we engage?" "Not until we have confirmation of their true intentions," the Admiral replied. "Let them reveal themselves first. Let them set their trap before we spring ours." 3 days later, humanity watched as the massive Vraxian ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their silver hulls gleaming in the sunlight. The flagship hovered above the landing site, while a smaller shuttle detached and descended to the ground. Ambassador Krex emerged with an entourage of Vraxian officials and the imposing figure of High Chancellor Viz, a tall, elegant being with translucent skin that revealed the complex network of glowing organs beneath. The welcoming committee, led by the UN Secretary-General, approached with appropriate expressions of awe and reverence. Cameras broadcast the historic moment worldwide. "Greetings, people of Earth," High Chancellor Viz said through a translator device. The Galactic Assembly welcomes you to the community of spacefaring civilizations. We come in peace and friendship to guide your development and share the wonders of galactic society. The Secretary General bowed slightly. We are honored by your presence, High Chancellor. Earth has long wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we are not, and we are grateful for your offer of guidance. Hidden beneath the surface courtesy, Alina watched the proceedings from the cloaked phantom, hovering just outside visual range. She observed the subtle reactions of the alien delegation, the dismissive glances, the condescending smiles, the way they surveyed the surroundings as if already assessing its value. They're right on script, she murmured to her executive officer, Commander Jackson. Now we wait for Act 2. The aliens were escorted to the United Nations building where world leaders had gathered. The meeting room had been specially prepared, wired with hidden sensors and recording devices to document everything. High Chancellor Viz addressed the assembled human leaders with practiced diplomacy. Your world stands at a threshold, poised to join a grand community of civilizations. The Assembly offers guidance, technology, and protection as you grow. In exchange, we ask only for cooperation in sharing the abundant resources of your beautiful planet. The President of the African Federation leaned forward. What kind of resources would you be interested in, High Chancellor? Viz smiled, revealing teeth too perfect to be natural. Nothing that would impact your daily lives. Certain minerals from your oceans and less populated regions. Rights to harvest a small percentage of your atmospheric gases. Perhaps access to some biological samples for our scientific research. Alina watched the meeting through the secure feed. She knew what was coming next and didn't have to wait long. Ambassador Krex stepped forward, unfurling a document. We have prepared an initial agreement outlining these arrangements. As is customary for juvenile worlds, the Assembly will establish a protective presence in your system, for your security, of course. A protective presence? Asked the European Union President, right on cue. A modest defense grid around your planet, Krex explained smoothly, and administrative centers to facilitate our cooperative ventures. Standard procedure for all new worlds joining the Assembly. Alina tapped her communication link. Admiral, they've made their move. They're proposing the defense grid. Once that's in place, Earth would be contained. Admiral Chen's voice came back clear and decisive. Understood. All units, prepare for Operation Reveal. Commander Reyes, you have authorization to proceed with Phase 1. Elena straightened in her command chair. Phantom crew, battle stations, weapons systems online. Prepare to disengage cloaking. As the Vraxian delegation continued their presentation, showing holographic images of the benefits Earth would receive under Assembly guidance, a subtle alert chimed on Ambassador Krex's communicator. He glanced at it, his reptilian features showing momentary confusion. The confusion turned to alarm as more alerts sounded. High Chancellor Viz noticed the disturbance. Ambassador, what is happening? Before Krex could answer, the meeting room screens flickered and changed. Instead of the prepared Assembly presentation, they now showed a real-time image of Earth orbit, and the Vraxian flagship suddenly illuminated by targeting sensors. The Phantom had revealed itself. Part 2. The Revelation. The room fell silent as humans and aliens alike stared at the screens. The Phantom hung in space before the massive Vraxian flagship, its sleek black hull absorbing rather than reflecting light, making it appear like a ship-shaped void against the stars. What is this? High Chancellor Viz demanded, his translucent skin flushing with pulses of angry light. What deception is this? The Secretary General rose calmly. There's no deception, Chancellor. Merely a correction of your misconceptions. On the command deck of the Phantom, Alina Reyes opened a communication channel to both the Vraxian flagship and the United Nations meeting room. Her face appeared on the screens, calm and resolute. This is Commander Alina Reyes of the Earth Space Force vessel Phantom. Your ships have entered Earth's sovereign space and have proposed measures that would restrict our freedom and exploit our resources. We reject these terms. Ambassador Krex hissed, his scales bristling. Impossible. Your world is juvenile. You have only chemical rockets and a primitive space station. The Secretary General smiled. That's what we wanted you to believe, Ambassador. Admiral Chen's voice joined the communication. For 15 years, we've been aware of the Galactic Assembly and your practices. We've monitored your communications, studied your technology, and prepared accordingly. On the screens, the image widened to reveal more of Earth orbit. From behind the moon emerged 3 massive warships, each half a kilometer long, their dark hulls gleaming with weapons arrays. From Earth's atmosphere rose dozens of smaller craft, forming defensive positions around the planet. High Chancellor Viz staggered back, his composure shattered. This is unprecedented. No juvenile world has ever. We are not a juvenile world, the Secretary General interrupted firmly. At least, not by your definitions. We simply chose to appear as one while we assessed whether the Assembly would approach us as equals or as prey. On the Phantom's bridge, Elena watched as the Vraxian flagship systems frantically came online. Their weapons were powering up, shields activating. They're preparing to attack, Commander Jackson reported. Elena nodded. As expected, target their primary weapon systems and propulsion. Disable, don't destroy. The Phantom moved with impossible speed for a ship its size, banking sharply and diving beneath the Vraxian flagship. Precision energy beams lanced out, striking exactly where intended. The alien vessel shuddered as its main weapons array exploded in a burst of blue fire. Direct hit, Tactical Officer Lai reported. Their primary weapons are offline. The other Vraxian ships are moving to engage, Jackson warned. Elena smiled grimly. Right into our trap. As if on cue, 6 more Earth vessels decloaked around the Vraxian fleet, each taking position to target a specific alien ship. Within minutes, the entire Vraxian guidance fleet had been neutralized, their weapons and propulsion systems disabled. In the United Nations chamber, High Chancellor Viz watched the screens in horror as his fleet was systematically disabled by ships that shouldn't exist. Ambassador Krex was frantically trying to contact their vessels, but communications had been severed. What do you want? Viz finally asked, his voice hollow. The President of the North American Union stepped forward. We want what any sovereign civilization wants, to be treated as equals, not as resources to be harvested or labor to be exploited. We've seen what the Assembly does to worlds it classifies as juvenile. We've intercepted reports about the Tellarites, the Vorans, and a dozen other species who accepted your guidance, only to find themselves stripped of their resources and reduced to servitude. That's not. Krex began to protest. We have the transmissions, the European president interrupted. Records of your council meetings, reports on resource extraction quotas. We know everything. High Chancellor Viz's skin had paled to an almost transparent state. How did you hide this? Our scans showed only primitive technology. Because we wanted them to. Admiral Chen said, entering the chamber with a contingent of Earth security forces. Everything you detected was carefully crafted to meet your expectations of a juvenile world. Meanwhile, we built our true capabilities in shielded facilities throughout our solar system. Outside, the sun was setting over New York. As darkness fell, lights began to appear in the sky. Not stars, but the illuminated hulls of Earth's hidden fleet moving into visible orbit, a show of force impossible to ignore. On the Phantom, Elena received new orders from Command. Commander, escort the Chancellor's shuttle back to their disabled flagship. We're initiating diplomatic protocols. Elena acknowledged the order and set course for the Vraxian flagship. As her ship approached, she could see the damage they had inflicted, precise, surgical strikes that had disabled but not destroyed. Open a channel to their bridge, she ordered. The face of the Vraxian fleet commander appeared on screen, his scaled features rigid with suppressed rage. Human vessel, our shields and weapons may be disabled, but we still have communications with our homeworld. When the Assembly learns of this attack, They'll learn that Earth defended itself against attempted subjugation. Elena interrupted. We're transmitting evidence of your intentions to every civilized world in the Assembly, including the classified protocols for resource extraction from juvenile worlds. The commander's eyes widened. You can't have. We've had operatives in your networks for years, Elena said simply. Your encryption was impressive, but not impenetrable. Hours later, a shuttle transported High Chancellor Viz back to his flagship. The Chancellor had been silent during the journey, his earlier arrogance replaced by calculation. As they approached the docking bay, he finally spoke. You've made a powerful enemy today. Elena, who had personally escorted him, shook her head. We've merely revealed ourselves as we truly are. The Assembly has a choice now. Recognize Earth as an equal or face the consequences. What consequences could a single world, no matter how deceptively advanced, pose to the entire Assembly? Elena smiled. We're not alone, Chancellor. During our years of observation, we've made contact with other worlds that chafed under Assembly guidance. Worlds that have their own hidden capabilities. Worlds waiting for someone to stand up to the Assembly's exploitation. For the first time, genuine alarm showed in the Chancellor's features. You're bluffing. Am I? The Tellarites rebuilt their civilization underground after you stripped their surface. The Vorans have been developing biological weapons specifically designed for Vraxian physiology. The coalition of the deceived, we call ourselves. Whether her claims were true or not, the seed of doubt had been planted. As the shuttle docked, Elena handed the Chancellor a data crystal. Our terms: equal recognition for Earth and all other worlds currently classified as juvenile, reform of the resource-sharing protocols, and representation on the Assembly Council for all member worlds. Viz took the crystal, his fingers trembling slightly. The Assembly will never agree. Then the Assembly will fall, Elena said simply. We've been watching you for 15 years, Chancellor. We've learned your weaknesses, mapped your supply chains, identified your critical infrastructure. We don't want war, but we're prepared for one. Back on Earth, the Secretary-General addressed a global audience. The truth about humanity's secret space program was finally revealed to all Earth citizens. Holographic displays showed the true extent of human advancement. The lunar colonies, the Mars outposts, the asteroid mining operations, and the fleet of ships built in secret, while the world believed space exploration was still in its infancy. For 15 years, we've carried this secret, the Secretary-General said, built while we maintained a facade of primitive technology. Today marks the end of that deception and the beginning of Earth's true place among the stars. Admiral Chen stood beside Commander Rice on the observation deck of Artemis Station, watching as the disabled Vraxian ships were escorted from Earth orbit. Do you think they'll accept our terms? Elena asked. The Admiral smiled wryly. They don't have much choice. We've upset the power balance they've maintained for centuries. Other worlds will be watching closely. And if they try to retaliate, then they'll learn what happens when they underestimate humanity. The Admiral turned to face the Earth, blue and beautiful below them. They thought we were children just learning to walk. They never suspected we were wolves in sheep's clothing. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Assembly, no longer in disguise, but wearing the formal uniform of the Earth Space Force. Beside her stood representatives from a dozen other worlds, some openly, others still concealing their identities for safety. The Assembly chamber buzzed with tension as the revised Treaty of Worlds was presented for ratification. Many delegations were outraged, others frightened, some secretly relieved that the Assembly's exploitation might finally be checked. High Chancellor Viz, his position weakened but still intact, called for order. The vote will now commence on the recognition of Earth and the reformation of juvenile world protocols. As the voting began, Elena caught the eye of a Tellarian representative who nodded almost imperceptibly. The coalition they had built in secret was holding. Change was coming to the galaxy. They thought Earth was young. Elena murmured to herself, until we attacked with a starship. The assembly would never be the same again. Neither would humanity. Earth had emerged onto the galactic stage, not as a supplicant begging for guidance, but as a force demanding respect, and ready to extend protection to those who had been exploited for too long. The deception was over. The revelation had begun.